Cambodia is home to 14 million people, and today it is among one of the poorest countries in Southeast Asia. But despite its poverty, reminders of Cambodia's glorious past is everywhere in the country, in its gilded temples and magnificent monuments. Contemporary Cambodia is the successor state to the mighty Khmer Empire. During its heyday, it ruled much of what is now Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam. But that was from the 9th to 15th century. For most of the second half of the 20th century, Cambodia was racked by war and famine. From 1969 to 1974, Cambodia was affected by the Vietnam War. Then, in 1975, the Khmer Rouge took power. During their rule, over 20,000 were tortured and killed here at the Tuol Sleng prison, which was the nerve center of the Khmer Rouge secret police. Today it is a genocide museum, reminding those who come here of the atrocities committed. But the 20,000 deaths at Tuol Sleng is just the tip of the iceberg. Up to 2 million are thought to have died from starvation, overwork, or execution under the Khmer Rouge. It was only in 1998 that the Khmer Rouge surrendered. In their quest for an agrarian utopia, the Khmer Rouge forcibly evacuated all the cities and destroyed much of the existing infrastructure. Those who returned to the cities after their rule found that their homes were gone, and so some occupied former apartment buildings and turned them into slums. Others built new homes using whatever materials they could find. Along the banks of the river in Phnom Penh, the sight of homes built with metal sheets and cupboard pieces is common. The collapse of these houses are a regular occurrence. Here, an entire house has just been washed away by the river because of soil erosion. With such poverty, some parents see their children as goods to be traded. In this slum, there has been a number of children sold to child traffickers. The going rate here is $50 to $200 for babies and young kids. Some of the children end up being adopted in foreign countries. Child trafficking for foreign adoption in Cambodia is so rampant that some countries such as the United States, Britain and France have banned it in recent years. International adoption is slowly being reopened as more stringent checks are put in place by foreign agencies. But local trafficking is also a significant problem, with young children sold into prostitution or a life of hard labor.
A lot of the time her life is, the mother and the father's life is so miserable that they have no hope, no joy left over for their children. And sometimes it's a sense of, well, you're 12 now. When I was 12, I was working in the fields, I was doing this. It's your turn to go out and do this. So there is a sense of a cycle. But often the parents are so wrapped up in their own problems, and it's really hard to judge. I mean, I fall into a problem. I have extended family, I have a social system, I have a legal system that protects me, and raising children is still difficult. I have 4 kids, it's not a picnic. So managing to do that when you don't know where your next meal is coming from, your husband's on drugs, you're getting beaten all the time, you have never seen a good role model in your life, that's a Herculean task. The families that do manage in the slums are amazing people that have managed to do that.
NGOs in Cambodia reported a total of 68 cases of trafficking for the purpose of commercial sexual exploitation and rape from 2007 to 2008. The victims were all under 18. The real number is certainly much higher, as trafficking is illegal and underreported here. In a country struggling to rebuild after years of war and strife, the people of Cambodia are working hard to create a future for their families. but recovery has been slow. Nearly half of all Cambodian children are malnourished, and 1 in 8 dies before their 5th birthday, largely due to preventable causes. Poverty forces many children to start working at a young age. Child labour is widespread here. It is not uncommon to see children working on the streets or spending hours collecting metal cans or plastics, which they can sell for about $1 a day to supplement the family income. The slums here are built on garbage which covers about 2 football fields, and sadly, this keeps some children busy and away from school. Children also work alongside their parents in the city dump. They sift through the garbage in search of cans, plastics, and other recyclables that they sell for a few cents. Sometimes, when their income isn't enough, the city dump also becomes a source of food. It's a health risk to work here. Like any city dump, there are needles, glass, dirty diapers, and other toxic materials in the trash. And the children often suffer cuts and scratches, food poisoning, and disease.
The garbage picking that children do, they might make $1, $2 a day. If you have a family with 5, 6 children, that can be enough to keep the family going. But this is a kid doing about 6 to 10 hours of physical work every day with no food, no water while they work. Usually the children don't. If they're very, very lucky, they will get a sandwich halfway through, buy some bread or noodles from a vendor. Every time a child goes walking, it's not just that they're missing school, they're literally starving themselves, because the amount they get $1, $2, they cannot replace the calories that they're spending. I mean, you try walking for 8 hours a day, carrying a heavy bag as a little kid. Every time you see a garbage collector, they're not just missing school, they're slowly starving themselves to death.
It was stories like this that prompted Diana Saw, a Singaporean, to leave a well-paying job as a general manager in a multinational company and move to Cambodia.
I came here first on holiday in April 2006, and I visited a slum, and the lady had basically just sold her newborn baby for $100. I went with a friend of mine, and we sat in her hut, which was made out of leaves. No toilet, no water, no electricity, and for that she paid $10 a month because they have to rent the land in order to build a hut. And I just thought that how can it be? At that point in time I was in Singapore and I had dozens of pairs of shoes, and this woman, she had only 1 pair, and that was a prized possession, hung on the wall, and it was scruffy because it was second hand. And I remember it was white and it was very scruffy, but she kept it very clean. And apart from that, she just had a couple of buckets with plates and cutlery, and that was all her possessions. And obviously she sold the baby out of desperation, and maybe she thought she could give the baby a better life.
Diana felt that the best way to help these children would be to help their mothers, and so she used her savings to set up Bloom. Bloom employs about 10 single mums to make accessories. These items are made from recycled rice and fish feed bags, which the women wash, cut and sew to refashion into funky tote bags. It may be a small business venture, but it has had a big impact in the lives of the women hired.
លើកអត់លើកស៊ីម៉ង់ធ្ងន់ៗលើកដីឡើងលើកពុះមួយថ្ងៃបាន 6,000 ពីមុនវាលំបាកឲ្យថាអត់ផ្ទះនៅដើរនៅកន្លែងសំណង់អញ្ចឹងយើងយកឲ្យបាវសំណង់បាំងធ្វើអញ្ចឹងធ្វើតវល់អញ្ចឹងពិបាករហូតតែម្នាក់ឯងអញ្ចឹងបន្ទុក 3 នាក់ទៀតខ្ញុំរហូតតែម្នាក់ឯងហូបអត់គ្រាន់ពិបាកចិត្តណា
Niang had separated from her husband. She also had no skills, hence heavy manual labor was the only work she could find. It was only after meeting Diana that she was put through sewing classes. Now with a steady income, Niang and her family members have moved into a house. For the first time in her life, she has access to running water and electricity.
ឥឡូវខ្ញុំទៅថាខ្ញុំមានលុយគ្រាន់ជួលផ្ទះនៅកាលមុនខ្ញុំអត់មានលុយជួលផ្ទះខ្ញុំបាក់ខ្ញុំនៅចាំវត្តខ្ញុំធ្វើរោងនៅកន្លែងការឋានគេអញ្ចឹងណា
It is such examples of a positive impact that motivates Diana to continue what she is doing, despite the difficulties that she faces.
So the women, when I first employed, they were single moms, abandoned, widowed, or the husbands had died from some illness. And AIDS is a big problem here. But after they've got a stable income, the men come back to them, and this is the same guys who had abandoned them because I guess, money is attractive. And so two of the women have actually remarried their former spouses. And it's nice to see at least they've got a family unit so the kids have a father again.
In recent years, a number of other social initiatives similar to Green has opened, providing job opportunities and vocational training to women. This in turn helps with the problem of child trafficking. With a stable income, parents can provide for their children themselves and ultimately send them to school, giving the children a better shot at life. In an ordinary street along the boulevards of Phnom Penh, you'll find the guest house Le Rit. The stories you'll find inside, though, are far from ordinary. The women who work and study here have experienced domestic violence and abandonment by their families. A number of them also suffer from HIV. Due to the lack of awareness on the disease, HIV-positive patients are shunned in Cambodian society, and it is almost impossible for them to get work. And that's why Le Rit was set up by the NGO Niemo in order to provide training and jobs to disadvantaged women. 42-year-old Sukthea is one example of the difficulty of living with HIV in Cambodia. She was dismissed from work at a garment factory when her bosses found out about her condition. Her husband had also died of the disease, leaving her with no means to support herself and her 11-year-old son.
ក្នុងក្រុមគ្រួសាររបស់ខ្ញុំពេលដឹងខ្ញុំទុកមេរោគអេដចឹងគេរឹងអើងយើងសូម្បីតែយើងហូបទឹកហូបអីចឹងគេមិនឲ្យហូបមួយចឹងគេរឹងអើងមកកន្លែងធ្វើការយើងទៅធ្វើការចឹងគេដឹងចឹងទៅគេរឹងអើងគេងាកមុខចាញ់គួរឲ្យយើងឈឺចុកចាប់អាហ្នឹងហើយប្រធានរោងចក្រហ្នឹងអត់មានត្រមត្រួតទេយើងឈឺបើយើងទៅធ្វើការមិនកើតគេនឹងរស់រឿង
ទៅពេលអ៊ំគីងពេលឯងបងប្អូនមានមកខែ
អត់មានទេមាន 2 នាក់កូន ចាបានទឹកលុយកាក់អត់អត់បានពេទ្យជួយ
When Sukthea left the hospital, she had nowhere to go, as her family wanted nothing else to do with her or her son. Her husband's family also would not take her in. That's when she came to seek help at Niemo. By making toys for the tourist market, Sukthea is able to rent a small place to live with her son. It's a tiny shack less than 1.5 square meters, and cooking, studying, sleeping and socializing all happens in this space. But Sukthea says she is thankful she has a nice place to stay. The proud mother also takes pride in the fact that her son frequently tops the class. 11-year-old Mal is particularly good at mathematics, and he even gives tuition to their landlord's younger daughter. When he grows up, Mal wants to be a policeman like his father was. But Sukthea's greatest worry is whether or not she will live to see the day.
ខ្ញុំខ្វល់ខ្វាយទៅនៅអនាគតនឹងខ្វល់ខ្វាយតែពីរឿងកូនខ្ញុំនៅទូចអាយុតែមិន10ឆ្នាំហ្នឹងហើយគ្មានបងគ្មានប្អូនណាគ្មានផ្ទះគ្មានសបែងគ្មានគោលដៅខ្លាចកូននឹងរៀនមិនជាប់អីចាដល់ពេលដល់សង្ឃឹមទុកខ្ញុំសង្ឃឹមទុកខ្ញុំនឹកឃើញរំពឹងទុកហ្នឹងរំពឹងទុកតែអង្គការនិយមហ្នឹងបានជួយហ្នឹងមិនអីបានកូនខ្ញុំបានមកស្គាល់អញ្ចឹងបានមិនបើអត់ពីខ្ញុំទៅក៏មានសង្ឃឹមអង្គការនិយមជួយអញ្ចឹងកូនចៅអីហ្នឹងរៀនតដល់ហ្នឹងទៀតទៅបើខ្ញុំអត់មានបងប្អូននៅឆ្ងាយ
For now, Sokthea is happy she has a job to provide for Mao. Sokthea's story is not uncommon. The NGO Niemo sees 40 to 50 new cases every month. Hundreds more seek help elsewhere, and many also slip through the cracks. Many of the women are infected by their husbands. The situation seems desperate at the outset, but once they overcome the social stigma of HIV, there can still be hope for a fulfilling life. Cambodia used to be the HIV black spot of Southeast Asia. In the late 1990s, there were 15,000 new infections every year. But in recent years, Cambodia has been the star performer, where the rate of new infections has fallen to around 2,000. The country is also renowned for its treatment programs for HIV-positive people. More than 9 out of 10 patients eligible for antiretroviral drugs are getting the medicine. This is a big help to those who are abandoned by their family after they realize they have HIV. Sonny is one such person. 4 years ago, she was on the verge of suicide after her husband died and her extended family cut her off.
ចាមូលហេតុហ្នឹងគឺថាខ្ញុំពេលដែលឈឺពេលដែលខ្ញុំឈឺរយៈពេល6ខែហ្នឹងគឺពិបាកមែនបងពិបាកមែនតើសំបីតែញ៉ាំទឹកមកញ៉ាំលែងចូលហើយចាញ៉ាំក៏លែងចូលសំបីតែតិចក៏ហឹងអស់ហើយដល់ពេលសំបីឲ្យក្រោកអង្គុយអញ្ចឹងបើតោះគេទប់ពីក្រោយបើសិនជាគេប្រឡែងតិចដួលផ្ងាក្រោយទៅហ្មងអញ្ចឹងគឺថាវាពិបាកមែនតើបងពេលហ្នឹងក្រៅពីសេចក្តីស្លាប់គឺខ្ញុំអត់ចង់រស់ហ្មងខ្ញុំគិតថាស្លាប់ទៅគឺខ្ញុំផុតអស់ប៉ុន្តែគាត់ថាខ្ញុំគិតដែរកូនប៉ុន្តែពេលហ្នឹងគឺថាវាពិបាកពេកខ្ញុំគិតឃើញតែមួយយ៉ាងហើយគឺខ្ញុំចង់តែស្លាប់ពេលហ្នឹងខ្ញុំលែងគិតអីខ្ញុំចង់តែស្លាប់មកមុខចា
A taxi driver referred her to Niemo, and there she took sewing classes. It was also at Niemo that she formed a friendship with Vutha, another woman with family problems. Today, the two women work together. By sewing furniture and producing clothes, they each make about $90 a month. Now Sonny is able to afford meat at the market, a luxury she previously did not get to enjoy. She's also able to pay for the drugs which keep her healthy. Niemo also helps to provide education for the children of disadvantaged women like Sonny at their centre. Here, HIV-positive children mix with others so as to stem discrimination. There's also a much higher proportion of girls in the class than you would find in rural schools. Many still believe there is no need to educate the girls. Fortunately, this thinking is slowly changing in cities. In Cambodia, 1 in 3 people live below the poverty line of making less than $1 a day. And more often than not, it is the women who are affected because of their lack of access to education.
Cambodian culture, Cambodian women, they live depending on the man. They think that the role of the girl just only to manage something good in the family, to look after the children, to look after the husband, and to take care of the old parent. Yeah. So when the husband abandoned, they feel hopeless. Some of them they become have the mental problem. They do not think that they can do everything as the man. They don't know how to do to get the income to support themselves and also to support the family. That's why it's caused to a big problem. Some of them they commit suicide themselves.
With education, though, women suffering from poverty are now armed with the tools to help them participate in the economy. Through basic literacy classes, these abandoned women now have found new confidence to survive on their own without their husbands. Microfinance has also been an important tool to help many illiterate women to set up their own small businesses. But the fact is that feminization of poverty is still prevalent in Cambodia. The number of men and women in the total workforce is almost the same according to UN estimates. However, more women are self-employed or unpaid family workers. This informal economy provides low, irregular income and unstable employment. More importantly, because many tend to operate unregistered, there is little or no access to organized markets, credits, and training institutions and to other public services. Gender equality is guaranteed in the Cambodian constitution, which prohibits all forms of discrimination against women. But in reality, much more needs to be done to empower women in Cambodia.